Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is a beautiful morning here in North Texas, and today I'm going to be planting out my bush beans, cowpeas, and the last few of my dwarf okra that's going in that green stalk behind me. I'm really excited about this. I just harvested the last of the lettuce out of the other green stalk, which is where the bush beans and the cowpeas are going. So let's go ahead and get started. Got a little bit of solar flare there, my apologies. Okay, so like I was saying, this green stalk is kind of an experimental one this year because it is in an area that will just get completely hammered by sun in the middle of the summer. So it's gonna take a beating. So I wanted to put something in here that really loves the heat, that we also like to eat. So I found a dwarf variety of okra from the Burpee website. This variety is called Baby Bubba Hybrid, and I think it's only gonna, I think it's only gonna get like 3 feet tall per plant, which is still gonna be huge coming out of this green stalk. But considering that the okras in those beds are like 9 to 12 feet tall, this is definitely dwarf. So we're gonna give this a try, see how it does. If for whatever reason I'm still, this is still too much sun for this okra, then I'm gonna have to figure out where the heck else I can put this green stalk to be able to grow more food, because that's ultimately the goal. Food, herbs, pretty things, just, whatever cuts down that grocery bill. So in here, let me flip the camera around so I can show you guys what we already have going on in here. So previously, it was still in the experimental mode. This green stalk was basically full of kohlrabi and rutabagas. I harvested all of the rutabagas out of here, and then I have 2 smaller varieties of cucumbers for mine and Logan's cucumber experiment. Logan is my 10-year-old and he loves pickles. So we are trying to find the best pickles, the best cucumber variety for, homemade pickles. And then on this front side that does get shade, there are some hot pepper varieties. These are going to be, I have 2 habanero plants and a lemon habanero plant, and then this is my Aleppo pepper. This pepper is typically used for Moroccan and Mediterranean food, so I wanted to give it a try. And then just some various companion plants, basil, nasturtium, marigolds, and then I have mint here. My daughter loves mint tea, so growing her some mint, keeping it in a container so it doesn't absolutely go everywhere. And then some thyme, a little baby chamomile. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'm just letting it grow to see. But I also do have the dwarf okra in there just in case I decide that that's a weed or something that I don't want. It kind of almost looks like a sunflower, so I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. But the rest of these are planted out with dwarf cucumber varieties, except for these bottom 3 container or pockets where I harvested kohlrabis from yesterday. You can see where I cut them down. I'm actually not doing any amendments specific to the okra. This is still really good soil in here. Okra is actually nitrogen fixing, so what that means is it pulls nitrogen out of the air, stores it in its roots, and then as the plant dies off and those roots break down, it deposits the nitrogen back into the soil. So it is actually going to help refertilize the soil for me for the next thing that I plant in here. And a couple of notes about okra. These seeds, look, they're like small and round in case you haven't seen the inside of an okra pod before. There we go. So just a couple of things to note about okra. It is a heat-loving annual that is a relative of the marshmallow. So whenever it blooms, the flowers look a lot like marshmallow and or hibiscus flowers. They are self-pollinating, so they don't require bees or butterflies or anything to help them pollinate. They are extremely prolific in the summer, especially here in the south, since they do love the heat, and they will continue to put on pods as long as you continue to harvest from them. So pretty cool. Another note about okra is it is actually a fantastic item for gut health. That slimy substance that's inside it that makes it kind of sticky, and a lot of people don't really like the texture of it because of this, is called mucilage, and it is really good for lowering your blood sugar naturally. So if you are a diabetic, this could be something that is a beneficial thing for you to eat. Obviously, if you are concerned about that, ask your medical provider, but I've never heard anybody say, nah, don't eat the okra. Anyway, the mucilage is really fantastic for gut health. I know that people will often like cut slits into the okra pods and then just put it like in their ice water and kind of let it sit for a minute. That sounds kind of weird to me. I'm not doing that. You can use it in, obviously probably the most popular way to eat it is fried okra. I don't actually eat fried okra. I think the texture reminds me of boogers, and I'm not down for that. But there are a ton of other ways that you can eat it. My husband's dad is from India, so a lot of ways that they prepare it there. They actually call it lady fingers in India. They will prepare it in curries, or they have their own version of fried okra. In Louisiana, it is most famously known for being put into gumbo. It is a natural thickener, so that really velvety texture that gumbo has is due to the okra being placed in it as the thickener. And then the way that I like to prepare it is I actually really thinly slice it, and I will thinly slice an onion. I'll brown off an onion in some butter or olive oil or whatever type of fat that I feel like using that day, and then I will add in the very, very, very thinly sliced okra, and I will cook it until it is pretty caramelized and starts to get kind of crispy. I guess it would be similar to fried okra, but it is not breaded, and it is so good. The caramelization brings out like the natural sweetness, and the onion just adds a whole other layer of flavor to it. That's my favorite way to eat it. I think it's my husband's favorite way to eat it, but it is incredibly versatile. In Mediterranean cuisine, they have like a stewed preparation with tomatoes and seasonings and olive oil and stuff, and it is so good as well. But they have like a very small pod variety that they use, so it's like nice and tender. It's really good. Anyway, well, long story about the okra that I'm planting today. But I do encourage you to give it a try, even if you just plant one of these dwarf varieties, to see, if it's something that you do enjoy. There are different types. Obviously there's going to be different types of okra. They come in different colors. I have a red variety that's growing called Jing Orange. There's also Okinawa Pink that is pink. There is like short fat okra, very long and skinny. There's like a velvety textured okra. There's tons of types. I'll grow any that I get my hands on because we love it so much here. So because I'm growing so much okra, I'm gonna move you guys again because I'm talking with my hands. So because I grow so many types of okra, my hope is that I will be able to preserve some this year, especially with this green stalk growing so many different pockets of the dwarf variety. Since I don't eat it fried, I'm not going to preserve it the way that my grandma would, which is like, basically breading it and getting it ready to fry and then tossing it in the freezer. My hope is to pickle some. We love pickled things here, clearly. And then my hope is to also dehydrate some, so that whenever I do make gumbo in the winter, and the fresh okra in the store is like $4, which is crazy to me, I can just pull out some of my dehydrated okra and use that instead. I don't have a freeze dryer, otherwise I would attempt to freeze dry some. Other than, I think that might be the only two ways that I'll be able to preserve it this year, is the pickled canned variety and then the dehydrated. But if anybody knows any other ways to preserve okra, please let me know below, because it is my hope that I'll be able to just pack some away to use throughout the winter whenever I can't grow it, because winter. It definitely is not frost hardy. The first frost and it's done for. It really does well in the heat. It thrives basically on neglect. You don't have to fertilize it. It doesn't require a whole lot of water. The hotter it is, the more prolific the plant seems to get. The only pest concern that I have had with the okra, for the most part, is aphids. The young okra pods tend to be really an attractor for the aphids. I guess it's kind of sweet or something, which will then draw in the ants. Now, because I don't really use any pesticides within my garden, I have praying mantises that kind of wipe out everything for me. They just come and do praying mantis things. It's really cool to watch. But for aphids, you could just spray those off with a bit of a high pressure water hose. Okra, from what I have seen, isn't really susceptible to any of the diseases like tomatoes that really require you to be careful with how and where you water. I just go ham with a high pressure water nozzle on the water hose, and that seems to get rid of the aphids. If you do it enough times, then they figure out that isn't really a place that I want to be. So it's really easy to grow. It tastes really good. It's really good for you, and you have a ton of varieties. But now that I've given you the long story about the okra, let me just explain really quickly how to plant it. Okay, so with any seed that you are direct sowing, because Texas has an extremely long growing season, we don't have to start these indoors. So I don't know if starting them indoors applies the same as starting them outdoors, because that's not a concern that I have. So when direct sowing, you want to make your hole about twice as deep as the size of the seed. So this seed is probably like 1/4 of an inch, maybe. So you want to make your planting hole no more than 1/2 inch. You want to make sure that obviously it's deep enough for the seed, but you don't want to make it so deep that the seed expels all of its energy whenever it is trying to sprout and doesn't quite make it to the surface. So I'm just using my little, I call it my poking device. This is a dibber. I have a wooden one. I don't know where it is. I think it might be in the greenhouse somewhere. I need to find it and put it in my 5-gallon bucket where I keep all my tools so that I'll have it on me. But for now, I'm using this one that came with some seed starting trays that I have. And I am just simply going to poke a hole no more than 1/2 inch deep here in each of these pockets. And then I'm going to actually put 2 seeds into each pocket. And the reason that I am planting 2 seeds in each pocket is because I have not planted this variety before. I don't know how fertile. I don't know how well it actually germinates. So if it does really well, like some of these have, I'll just come through and I'll snip down the smaller seedling of the 2 and just leave the 1. So 2 seeds into each hole, and then we're just gonna bury that back. And once I'm done planting everything for today, I'll just come give everything a nice good deep water. But that is essentially the easiness of planting okra. Once it sprouts, like I said, it grows incredibly easily. It's pretty hands-off as far as something that you can grow in your own garden. Actually, all the things that I'm planting today are pretty hands-off. They don't require a whole lot of maintenance. They don't require a ton of fertilizer. Just water for the okra, just water every now and again, and harvest the pods as they're ready, and it will continue to make more, and enjoy your gumbo, I guess, basically. That's all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!